Good evening. We are now ready to continue the slippery case of the sabotage slide, Part 2. To recap, we read a newsletter that helped us decide if the suspects had motive, meaning a reason for wanting to do this damage to the water park. Next, we are going to go to the alibis. So we will be reading through the interviews of what the suspects actually had to say, as well as notes to substantiate, meaning we're going to check to make sure they were telling the truth. And then this will also help us to decide who, if anyone, we can eliminate as a suspect. First, I want you to look at this page that says interview on the side. The detective, make sure you write your name on that page. I'm going to let you read through these alibis. Then, as you flip your paper over, it says notes to substantiate. And it looks like this. Then, what you are going to do is to compare. Remember that this crime was committed between 8 a.m. and 9:50 a.m. So after you have read through both of these, the interview notes and the notes to substantiate, you're going to go back to this page, and underneath Clue 2, which is right here, you will again write yeses and nos. So going back, do they have opportunity? The first one was motive. So remember what we had there. When you are finished, if you want, you can check with the facilitator for your answers. Otherwise, you are going to go right on to the next one. Okay. And the next one is close. Now, before we get into the close, we have to solve a logic puzzle. And this one right here is practice. Up at the top, it says nursery rhyme logic grid for practice. The grid provides a worksheet for sorting information. Every square represents what is true or not true. By eliminating, meaning getting rid of possibilities, also known as deductive logic, one is finally left with the only choice, one per row, one per column. The one square left over will be the correct answer. We're going to use an X to get rid of what is not true, and an O to represent the correct answer. Remember, if you have an O, then everything in the same row and column becomes an X. This is very important to track. So we have 4 nursery rhymes. We have Little Bo Peep, which is the first one. Little Bo Peep has lost her sheep and doesn't know where to find them. Leave them alone and they'll come home, wagging their tails behind them. On the left, we have Mary, Mary, quite contrary. Mary, Mary, quite contrary. How does your garden grow? With silver bells and cockle shells and pretty maids all in a row. On the right, underneath the picture, you have Humpty Dumpty. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. And last we have Little Miss Muffet. Little Miss Muffet sat on a tuffet, eating her curds and whey. Along came a spider who sat down beside her and frightened Miss Muffet away. Over here, on the left now, we have clues. Okay, and I'm going to help go through this practice one with you. Anna, Brenda, Kathy, and Dana are talking about their favorite books and stories. Each girl has a favorite nursery rhyme: Little Miss Muffet, Little Bo Peep, Mary, Mary, Quite Contrary, and Humpty Dumpty. After reading the clues, can you tell which rhyme is each girl's favorite? The first clue: Brenda's favorite nursery rhyme is about a little girl. So I'm looking at Brenda, and I know that maybe it could be Little Bo Peep, because that sounds like a little girl. And it could be Little Miss Muffet, because that sounds like a little girl. It could be Mary, Mary, Quite Contrary. That sounds like a little girl. Humpty Dumpty, that's like about an egg. So Brenda, hers is about a little girl, so it's not Humpty Dumpty. So I'm going to put an X. Dana's favorite rhyme does not have a girl in it. Well, hey, Dana, the only one that doesn't have a little girl is Humpty Dumpty. So Dana gets a circle. And I'm actually going to give her a smiley face. Okay, so I know that Kathy, her favorite can't be Humpty Dumpty, and Anna also can't like Humpty Dumpty. And Dana doesn't like Little Bo Peep, or Little Miss Muffet, or Mary, Mary, Quite Contrary. All right, 3. Anna does not like rhymes that have the word little in them. Well, Anna, she doesn't like Little Bo Peep or Little Miss Muffet, so she must like Mary, Mary, Quite Contrary. So again, she's going to get a smiley face. And that means Brenda can't like Mary, Mary, Quite Contrary, and Kathy cannot like Mary, Mary, Quite Contrary. The last clue says Kathy does not like sheep. Well, Little Bo Peep lost her sheep, and Kathy doesn't like that, so she can't like Little Bo Peep. That means that she likes Little Miss Muffet. And that means Brenda can't like Little Miss Muffet, even though, remember, the first clue was Brenda's favorite nursery rhyme is about a little girl. That means that she must like Little Bo Peep. And now, if you see, we have one circle, or smiley face, in every row going across, and one circle in every column going down. Okay? So now, that was a little practice. If you flip your paper over, you're going to find that we have more clues. And this is evidence. A plastic bag was found in the trash near the side gate of Splattertown. Inside, detectives found the following items: sunglasses, a purple pair of sweatpants, a light blue jacket, and a brown hat. Purple ink stained the jacket. The size on all of the clothing items was marked extra large. Using deductive reasoning and the clues below, solve the logic puzzle to find out the physical description of each suspect. How can this evidence help solve the crime? Remember to make an X in the box that is not possible. Take away what can't be true. If you mark an O, mark your boxes carefully. Now I will give you a hint. I added a clue on your paper, so if you're listening, you're going to see that extra clue. Also, sometimes you have to read the clues over and over and over again. Because if I just read the first clue, for example, the suspect, who is 6 foot 3 inches, weighs 250 pounds, that doesn't really help me right now because I don't have any other information. The same with clue 2. The suspect, who weighs 160 pounds, is 5 foot 8 inches. So that doesn't help me. But number 3, this is important. Peachy and the girl who weighs 98 pounds own the same pair of sunglasses. So that tells me that Peachy cannot weigh 98 pounds. So I'm going to put it here. And I don't know how tall Peachy is, so I can't put anything else. But I also know that a girl weighs 98 pounds. So it can't be Spike or Judd. So either Bubbles or Sandy weighs 98 pounds. Clue 4 will help you figure that out. Don't forget, when you are finished, you can get checked by the facilitator, or if you want, just keep going. When you finish, it's going to take you back to this page. And as you see, this is the close. So, do they have opportunity? And again, if you want to get this checked by your facilitator before you go on, you may. You're probably going to pause the video so that you can figure that out. And then when you're done, come on back. The next piece of evidence is the footprint evidence. You will want to make sure that you get this paper. Did you know that on average, the length of the foot of a fully grown adult is approximately 15% of their height? Here's some more sabotage slide evidence to consider. A complete purple footprint was found next to the main water pipeline of the Squidly Express. It measures 11 25/100 inches. Based on the theory that 11 25/100 is 15% of the suspect's height, how tall would the guilty person be? So what we're going to do is fill in the chart below. We are going to then divide the length of the foot by the height of the suspect in inches. And if you notice the picture of the foot, it has 11.25 inches on it. Okay. If you get 15, then that is most likely the culprit. Just remember, this is an approximate number. You can use the space below to do the math, or you can use the calculator on your computer. So here's what we're going to do. You're going to write the 3 tallest suspects. Okay. So you're going to put their names here. And then you are going to put their height in feet. And this is from your logic puzzle that you just completed. Then you are going to convert that height in inches. For example, I, Mama T, am 5 feet 5 inches. To convert that into all inches, I'm going to take this 5 times 12. That's 60. So 60 inches plus 5 more inches. So my height in inches is 65 inches. You don't have to put this on your paper. I'm just showing you how to think through it. When this paper was created, there's a part up here that was incorrect. This part up here, you should see that I changed it. It should read 11.25 divided by the height in inches. So using a calculator, or if you want to do it on your own, on scrap paper or something, you take 11.25, then the divide sign, and then the height in inches, which mine would be 65 inches. And you should get a number, and that number goes in this box here. And last, to solve this, then you take that number that I just wrote times 100. And I put it in this last box. And what is the goal number? 15. And anyone with a 15 or close to 15 is going to be a suspect. And then you can eliminate everyone else. Again, pause the video, do the math, and feel free to check your answers before you go on. You're getting closer. Almost there. And now we are ready for the hair. You want to make sure you get this paper. It says hair analysis. Head hairs are usually the longest hair found on a human. They are similar in diameter and often have tips that have been cut. Some head hairs are changed as a result of chemical treatments such as hair dyes. Hair can also be altered from exposure to the sun, wind, or dry air. A hair sample by itself may not be enough to solve a case, but it is often a good place to look. Hair samples can tell investigators about hair color, a specific race, whether or not the hair has been dyed, and sometimes the type of hairstyle. This information may not seem important when it comes to crime, but it can help investigators develop an idea of the basic features of a suspect. At the end of an investigation, it can also be very useful as further evidence to confirm or deny that a particular individual was at a crime scene during the time of the crime. So this is just showing you the different parts of a hair sample. Sometimes there's a root, and then the shaft is like the actual piece of hair, and then you can have the tip. Inside the shaft, there is something called the cuticle, which is on the outside, and there are different types of cuticles. Inside, you have the cortex and the medulla, and they create different patterns. So under a microscope, forensic scientists will look and analyze the shaft of the hair and then try to match it with one of the suspects. So that's what you're going to do. 5 hair samples were found on the brown hat left behind with the other clothes in the trash can. So what you're going to do is try to match these 5 fibers with one of these suspects. Pause, take some time, see if you can figure it out, and then fill in your chart. You are almost there with the last clue. Hopefully you already know who did it, because you're going to put your final answer in Echo. Thanks for watching. And don't forget, go Hawks!